And no, folks, I'm not doing any type of Illuminati adjacent symbol. Today we're talking about Ranch Triangle in today's Walk Score Wednesday. This is the weekly series where I talk about a neighborhood or community. The first part is the lifestyle, comparing the Walk Score, which is from Redfin, to what is going on in that either neighborhood or community. And the second part is I talk about, of course, my bread and butter, housing. I am Ananti Yoris, AD. I'm your local Chicago EXP realtor, helping you, the urbanist, find that right neighborhood and community. So, Ranch Triangle, you probably never heard of it. It's a pocket in Lincoln Park. I'm going to bring up a map shortly. In the south, I guess it would be about the southwest area of Lincoln Park, very close to North Avenue. So why ranch, right? Well, of course, it is the borders of this neighborhood. So why don't I bring up this map so it kind of visually, a lot of people, I am a visual person, and hopefully you may be too. So I'm going to bring up this map. Stick around. I'm going to share a resource that you'll need for this particular community if that's what you're considering or maybe living adjacent to the community. I'll share that resource along with a good way to get a hold of me. So let's go ahead and share the screen. I usually do. We will go in here and share. Okay, so let me just make sure everything is looking. Do one of these. There we go. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to highlight a couple areas. Now I wanted to have parks, good folks, in here. The parks, and there's nothing wrong with this, of course. The parks were skewed more, was children oriented, playgrounds. So, I mean, my target audience is an urbanist looking to hopefully eventually purchase. If you're hanging around playgrounds, you don't have kids, well, that's a whole other conversation. But you may have kids. So, of course, if you're curious about those parks, feel free to reach out. But for the sake of this recording, I am going to focus in on, as you can see here, grocery, transit, a little bit of social, and, of course, convenience. So that's what I'm going to focus on. So let's click off a couple of items here and just show you the neighborhood. So I'm hoping you can see this. Let's collapse the legend. Okay, so ranch, just kind of for your information, there's a portion right here. If I move in, I'm going to move a little up. The R is Racine. So obviously I drew these boundaries. So R is Racine, A is Armitage, N, which, I mean, I guess technically could be N and Sieg North Clybourne, but I don't believe it is. N is your North Avenue, C is Cortland, and H over here is Halstead. So these are the boundaries. And of course, on this western side, you have the North Branch Chicago River. So that's just, again, an FYI for you. So let's bring back the map legend. Those are the boundaries. Let's go ahead and talk about on here. Okay, everyone's favorite, TJ, right? Everyone loves a TJ. I see so many. I also, by the way, right, am part of Chicago Urbanism, Chicago_urbanism.com. I'm going to throw that. I'll throw that afterwards up on the screen. But in my development news, a lot of neighborhoods want that Trader Joe's. This area of the Lincoln Park community is a little more mature. And when I say mature, as far as just the age of the neighborhood, it's a little bit older. So, of course, they, because of the price points here and the income, median income of households, they have this Trader Joe's. So you get your Trader Joe's. We'll go ahead and click on it right here. Here is the Trader Joe's, as you can see, over on Clybourne. Okay. So, and actually, going to move out. The Whole Foods just outside of the Ranch Triangle neighborhood, you've got, which at one point was, I believe, one of the biggest. I think Texas overtook it. Whole Foods in the nation. So be ready for lines at both these locations. It services a lot of neighboring neighborhoods. So just be patient. Okay. So let's go back over here. I will bring up bingo. If you see over there in the corner, that is Chicago Urbanism. And I will share also another resource, my actual Instagram channel. So you can, if you want more bite-size nuggets of development news throughout Chicago from the urbanist perspective, highly strongly recommend you follow that. I'm also on TikTok. Of course, this is YouTube and Facebook. Okay. So let's knock that off. I'm going to go back over here. So click off. Now, transit options, okay? We've got two options. The first one here, although I have it in yellow, I'll mark it over here. Very, very concentrated area where all these streets, Clybourne, Halstead, and North, all intersect. You have the North and Clybourne subway stop, right? Conveniently get you down to the downtown. And of course, if you're curious about how long it will take, I can share this. When I pin this comment, I can share this map. You can kind of play around with it, and it can show you exactly how to get down there and how long it'll take. I'd say roughly about 20 minutes, but you can do that, of course, on your own leisure. That is the North and Clybourne. And the second one is the Brown Line stop, is the Armitage stop, Brown Line, which will service you all the way up on the northwest side, all the way into the city. So you have north transit options, and you have this southern, southeast transit, and of course, so many multiple bus lines, bus stops along Clybourne, along north. So really, wherever you live on any direction, either bus or train, you can get around. Okay. Now, this pocket, best I describe it, of course, it is still urban living, but it's really has a suburban feel. And that will make a little bit more sense when I talk about convenience. But you do have your creature comfort. So that's transit there. We'll get to social at the end. But since I mentioned convenience, your home goods, as you can see right over here, Home Goods, Home Depot, and Best Buy. So it's almost like you're back in the suburbs. So you have that suburban feel because you have those corporate entities, but you're still in an urban neighborhood. So if I click Home Goods here, you won't have a problem. And there's Targets everywhere. If you're moving into the neighborhood, purchasing, definitely get all your daily necessities, monthly necessities, and convenience. And then, of course, the great. Everyone loves the Home Depot. I hope you saw that clip, really cute. I think it was on Instagram I watched. The little girl called it Home Depot. Hilarious. So here is your Home Depot, again, just outside in kind of this no man's land on North. Very, very popular location. So make sure not to go to these places during peak, particularly on the weekends. If you can somehow go in the afternoon, strongly recommend that. And then, of course, finally, Best Buy, which I still can't believe is open, just with, unfortunately, Amazon and online, the convenience of online. But yeah, there's a Best Buy here. Make sure, look at some of the reviews. I'm not sure they're the best, but obviously for some quick electronic items, you can buy that. So you've got all these, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So like when if I expand out, go in a little bit, that's a little too much. Let's go up here. So if you go Binny's, which is great for alcohol, your alcohol purchase, Crate and Barrels, a lot of there's a Nordstrom's Rack, a lot of those suburban creature comforts, a lot that you may have been living in. And if you're living in the suburbs and you're coming into the city, you've got them all there in this pocket. Now, of course, that will cause home prices to escalate, and we will get to that in the second part. But finally, let's talk a little bit about social. Okay. So I've got 5 items here from all the way from the top. Many people everywhere in the nation has heard of Alenia. I think at one time it was in the top 10 worldwide, I believe. I don't know the ranking now, but that chef is amazing. Tripoli, Tap. I personally haven't been here, but it seems like a very kind of chill in the Lincoln Park sense, because everything is elevated in this mature neighborhood, right? A lot of disposable income for people that happen to live in this neighborhood. So obviously prices will reflect that. But if you wanted to get a beer, this would be a great place. Of course, DePaul University is to the east of here. So there are college-like bars, and I would say like Kincaid's here, which has been there for, I mean, when I was at Loyola, I think I was going there. This has got to be 30-year-old, 25 to 30-year-old bar. That would be your kind of like, just a beer and a shot type of spot. I'd, recommend Kincaid's on Armitage. And for a little bit more elevated, not as elevated as Alenia, Summer House, they've got a great outdoor area. Go check that out on Halstead. There's a lot of spots on Halstead. Some sushi and some ramen spots. So check out Summer House. Willow Room is I have not also been here. This location has changed some options, but it's kind of a go between. It looks a little bit elevated. You understand you have the Steppenwolf Theater not that far away, world renowned. So a lot of people will get, before show drink, or do dinner after the show. And this is one of the options here. This is Willow. And again, folks, you don't have to write these down. If you want this link, or just comment below if you have any questions, I'm happy to help. And then of course, Alenia, right? Which personally I've never been to, but from friends, if you like those 10, 11, 12 tasting menu and you've got to, pay multiple paychecks for it, if that's your bag, have at it. So you have those really, really awesome options of dining. You can basically, this is a walk-oriented video, so you can definitely walk, all throughout here. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, come back over here. Hello. You can definitely walk if throughout that area. Most people, well, listen, right? I'm Mr. Hypocrite. I have a car, right? Just being a realtor. In a perfect world, I'd work and live in just one neighborhood. That's just not the reality of being a busy city realtor. So of course you need the car. And most people coming in there, particularly if you're doing a purchase, you'll have a spot. We're just trying to reduce. It's really all about, with walking, obviously besides the health benefits, reduce the car dependency, right? So you can basically get anywhere you want. And all these places like the Home Goods, the Best Buy, Home Depot has parking. And so what happens, right? That kind of causes the congestion. So it's good. You have that option in the car. You have Armitage Brown Line to the north, and to that southeast, you have that North Clybourne. So, I mean, I would all the time take those from when I used to live in Wicker Park. And it was a couple of lines, but I would go if I needed to go in that area for whatever reason, get off on that red line. And by the way, you can take it down to downtown. So that's the convenient, but that's the transit. So living in there. So where can you potentially live? But before we get over to the housing, like I said, I wanted to share, share a couple of items. If you just give me 1 second. Let's see here. Bingo. Okay. Boom. So right over there, now I think I have to point over here. I believe that's how that works. And my finger magically, with the mirroring of the camera, my finger will be pointing over in that upper left behind, of course, the 2016, my Cubbies winning in 2016, wall hanging. that is my Instagram channel, right? This is where I focus. It's more of, again, bite size. I'm trying to do a little bit longer form and talking these neighborhoods, walking, and how walking is related to all the urbanism elements, right? That holy trinity, how walking relates to biking, to transit, and then it's all related to not just housing, but missing middle housing. So that's what I'm relating to here. How walking it has a relationship with the lifestyle there and housing. So there's all that interconnectivity. In that particular Instagram, I also have it on TikTok. I go in bite-size chunks. I talk about development news. I talk about housing. I try to give you more. I'm really trying to keep you aware in all the major neighborhoods and communities of Chicago. It's really not real estate focused per se. If there's some developments, because at the end of the day, right, as a lot of these neighborhoods, there's going to be a recurring pattern. I'd love to have some actual affordable properties. It's just typically not the case. And this is not just happening in Chicago. It's happening nationwide, right? We do have the affordability crisis. So I want to keep you aware, because more of those developments should increase supply and hopefully eventually bring some pricing down. I can't control that. There's always going to be a delay, but that's where I would like you for you to go. So that's Instagram. Just kind of doing a call out. I would love for you to if you like this content, you'll love that. It's more digestible, and of course, right, if you're looking to buy and sell or invest and you're relocating, I will share a consult QR code in a little bit. But let's go ahead. I wanted to share with you, I made a mistake. Unfortunately, I did a Bucktown video last week. I shared Chicago area median pricing for 3-bedroom, 2-bath condos. That's kind of like my baseline. That's decent size. Usually the 3 bedrooms were 1,500 and up. It could, as far as square footage, right? If you're ever looking for anything smaller or larger, of course, reach out. But that's my baseline for all these. I do a lot of these market videos for those. Speaking of that Chicago_urbanism.ad, that is my short form channel. I'd also have market updates in there. That's kind of the real estate, just to give you an idea, a snapshot. And my baseline is 3-bedroom, 2-bath resale condos, because obviously things get skewed when you have new construction. So I wanted to bring up, let's bring up, add to the stage. Welcome to the stage. So this should say Chicago, which should be 620,000. That's 620,000 median pricing for the city of Chicago. Like I said, I made a mistake. I believe it was 495. So obviously, just a heads up, if you are exploring my YouTube channel and you see that video, that is a mistake. This is correct. City of Chicago is 620. So what can you get comparing the city of Chicago to this Lincoln Park pocket known as Ranch Triangle for 620? And before I do that, I'm going to remove that. I'm going to add in, this is Ranch Triangle median pricing, obviously, 849,000. Wow, right? That's like single family level housing, home. And this are 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Again, very, very popular. Prices reflect, and there's a demand, right? These prices just don't come out of the air. There's a buyer demand for these. So 849 may not be realistic, but what can you get for under 620? So I pulled a couple of properties. Let's remove that. Hello. Pulled a couple of properties. So let's go over into my MLS and take a look. To share my screen and share. Okay. So let's pull some properties. Okay. Branch Triangle. Let me make sure you can see this. You can see my bald head and see the screen. So here are some ranging from 440 to 620. So the quote unquote bad, right? What's going to really happen is if you're in that kind of fixer up type of mentality as you can see right here, you can see the remarks, bring your contractor. This is what you're going to see in this price. You know, you get excited on this pricing, right? But obviously it's reflective in the condition. So if that's something that you're into, you have a family member that can help you, or you have a trusted person, or you yourself a contractor. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, which is really key. Not 3-bedroom. So we obviously, you said, is naturally at a lower price point. You're not going to reach that $849. To get under the $620, you're going to have to compromise on sizing of the condo. So just to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like, obviously exterior, but then obviously here you can see not the best of conditions. Look at that kitchen from 1980. Again, you get what you pay for. And then you can fix it up and, you know, potentially rent it. I'd have to look through this particular. I haven't looked at all the details in this particular MLS property. If you can rent, if you can't, you can, you know, potentially sell it. So that is kind of on the lower end. So if we go on to other properties here, 1945 Sheffield, obviously wonderful location, not that far from the Armitage. It would be, yep, the Armitage. So Armitage is 2000 north, folks. This is 1945, so just south of Armitage, and you have that Armitage, you know, stop, transit stop. This is train, local CTA that I mentioned in the map when we had the map screen share. 1 bathroom, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these photos. Decent exterior. And a lot of these, before we go into photos, right, you see the age. This is unknown. A lot of them are in the 100-year-old, just because of like how old Lincoln Park is. A lot of the properties, the missing middle properties. I haven't really got into like 2 to 4 flats. Those prices escalate. Kind of just for your info, when I was thinking about adding townhomes here, we're talking median $1 million. So if that's something where there's some demand for that, then I'll definitely consider that, showing that. So, okay. And the next one, finally, at the $620 price point, this is a nice Bissell property. Looks to be top floor, yes, which is always great. A lot of these older buildings, you're going to hear, I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you, you're going to hear between the floors. So if all possible, if you have the means, I strongly recommend you look at top floor properties. Let's look at some of these. Okay, beautiful exterior. Yeah, I don't mind the white personally. There may be also some staging in here. Yeah, as you can see right here, right, there has to be a disclaimer. This is virtually staged. The floors, of course, are legit, so that may need to be pulled out. Floors look a little bit dated. But this is $620. This is, of course, virtually staged. And this is a 2-bedroom. You do that additional half, which you may find if you do a lot of entertaining. That's definitely great. So let's, I'm going to open this up. Let's see here. If you can see this when it opens up, 26 days market time. Not bad. Originally listed for $659 and sold for $620, where we routinely are seeing many properties closing for list, if not above list, because we haven't really had the extremes in certain neighborhoods, like in Andersonville, some closing for 70 or higher above list. But typically in these popular neighborhoods, you're going to get at least list, if not higher. They're going to go for. It's still happening. Yes, even today. So, okay. So what I'm going to do, go back over here. So these are the 4 that I isolated. I'll show you maybe some of these here. Let's see some of these photos here on Sheffield. Narrow, a little bit narrow living room. Again, that was virtually staged. Of course, the furniture, you got to keep an open mind with the furniture. That some of it is dated. But this is nice. Nice, clean. Let's take a look at some of, this is a nice for entertaining right here. This is nice if you guys like to entertain. If you're the urbanist entertainer, nice kitchen. Let's look at some of the bathrooms. Okay, so right? I have to look at the room dimensions. I mentioned this when I did the Bucktown Walk Score Wednesday video. That's really tight. So you're right up against it. So that could be a challenge. Possibly maybe getting a twin bed in here instead of that looks like to be a queen. A little bit better here. You can at least put two end tables. And then this would be considered that I believe there is, let's see if there's a den in here. Let's look at the description deck. Oh, 11 by 8 is very small. Those are two small rooms. So 530. So that's kind of you unfortunately may not, and I guess kind of depends on where you're coming from. If you're living in maybe an expensive Chicago burb or expensive area wherever you're coming from, this may be peanuts for you. Or if you're coming from a smaller town, this may just not be in your budget. So obviously, right, it depends on your budget. But those rooms are very tiny, very tiny. I'm surprised, but people make it work. People make it work. And look at that. Sold 5K above. You can see right here, 5 days. 5 days was the market time. Okay. So that is the housing portion. We're going to stop sharing. So, this may be, and again, this is just a section of Lincoln Park. And if you go further east, closer to Lakeshore Drive, those pricing can be even more. So this is something if you were still considering living in Lincoln Park, you technically are. It's just, again, a pocket. I said I was going to share before we kind of wrap up. I want to share some resources. One in particular, a lot of these neighborhoods, they've kind of, part of it is us as a profession, the realtors kind of marketing a new and promoting a new quote unquote area. It kind of develops. But a lot of time when people move to an area after from their realtor or friend, they want to have that sense of community. And it doesn't, not technically, remember there's 77 designated communities, but there's hundreds of neighborhoods. And that is basically arisen from that sense of community, sense of worth. It may not be necessarily officially recognized by the city, but it's a neighborhood. It's a neighborhood, and they have a lot of websites. So there's actually a Ranch Triangle neighborhood. I'm going to go, I have to find the actual, let me go back over here. I'm going to go back and share the MLS. You see right here. Let's go Ranch Triangle. Here we go. So bingo. If you see right here, this is, I hope you can see this. Let me make sure I'm going full screen for you. Okay. There we go. Ranch Triangle, ranchtriangle.org. So this is basically gives you a kind of overview, right? Of their conservation association, explains Racine, Armitage, North, Chicago River. Okay, sorry, I was mistaken. I said Cortland, but that makes more sense. Chicago River, but it gives you an overview, and you can kind of learn about news, events, learn more, and join if that's something you're civic minded. Because all right, that's that representation that that a lot of neighborhoods need. So I highly, strongly recommend, again, ranchtriangle.org. I'll share it. I'll pin it after this video is completed on YouTube. So that's something I wanted to share. That gives you more information if you're really curious about this neighborhood. The second thing I want to share, is, I'm again a realtor, a non-Dior. So if you don't know, if you're coming in late here, this is Walk Score Wednesday. We're talking about the Ranch Triangle. Ranch Triangle, not Illuminati symbol, Ranch Triangle neighborhood. That's what we're talking today. A non-Dior AD. I am a Chicago realtor, right? In order for me, I love to provide these videos of value for you. In order for me to continue these videos for you and provide the value, got to sell some homes, or at least have conversations with folks that are considering selling a home, buying a home, relocating here to Chicago. So if you're curious, and let's say you're currently renting, maybe you're out in the suburbs, you want to come in the city. Maybe you're in the city, you want to go back to the suburbs, right? You need help with selling your home. Or you're living in Seattle and you want to come to Chicago, and you're watching these videos and absorbing them, and you're ready to have a conversation. So what I want to show you here is, let me going to go back to my relocation with AD is my overall relocation channel, and the subgroup is Chicago Urbanism. I want to share, bingo, let's go over. So right over here, if you scan that QR code, it's going to take you to a Google scheduler where we can talk up to an hour or longer if you need. We can have a real estate consult. And so you can kind of give me your background, where you're at, what are you thinking, and I can provide you some guidance. Please note, right, you're not under any obligation to work with me. There's other rules and stuff from a NRA settlement. I'm not going to bore you, that if we do get to the point of where I'm showing you properties, there is some type of formal agreement needed. I will explain that to you during our consultation. So if that's what you're considering, feel free to sign up. Like I said, even if you're a year away or 2 years away, let's have that conversation. And if you want to continue to rent, of course, a lot of the urbanists that I interact with or that are on my other social media platforms are renting, and they want to continue to rent. And that's great. And some of my best conversations with prospects that are considering buying, actually, after I talk to them, they're like, hey, thanks, AD, for laying it out, and some aren't ready. We all understand, again, we have an affordability crisis, and it's tough. Even with rates coming down, pricings continue to escalate. So I get it. I totally get it. But this is, you have a way of earning a living. And of course, this is how I love what I do. This is my profession. So if you need that conversation, you like that conversation, go ahead right over here, click that QR code. I'll have it pinned in YouTube. This is streaming right now in YouTube and in Facebook. So again, I'm Anantioris AD. This has been the Ranch Triangle neighborhood. Walk Score Wednesday, we talked about the map of Ranch Triangle and the housing. Any other questions at all, please do not hesitate. Click on that scheduler and let's have a conversation. What's the next neighborhood? You're going to have to wait till I do another Walk Score Wednesday.